So the next video seems to be more of a zoomed in version of the one that we just watched, and
Yes, yes.
it's going to be 5 times very fast and 5 times slow.
Yeah,
So
this is
here
a
it
uber
goes.
close up. Yeah.
All right. So Stephen, anything you notice in here, please point out. Because it's zoomed in, we're seeing that huge halo effect here.
Yes, you can see it right there. Okay, let's just let it run for its high speed. You can see it transiting the background toroidal structure. That's just incredible.
So this, if I understand this correctly, that toroidal feature, it's spinning up the materials, the energy from maybe our dimension and their dimension to create this projection of this UAP that is being used for a
Yeah,
purpose, right?
yes, we've seen it before where they pull from their world and mix it with our world, a kind of a hybridization, um, and they're able to produce these things.
Right. As we get, I love the way that you're doing this transition and it is holding an image and then transitioning to the next. It's really mesmerizing. Towards
Yes,
the towards the very end of this, we're starting to see uh some features popping through that we're
yes,
going to go into more detail about. And this is a good time, I guess, for us to kind of open up a little bit about that other world and how they're generating this. So it's not just about the materials, right? It's about what's generating that energy behind the scenes, that creativity that's causing this to happen. And what I say have seen in this, like what we're starting to see here, we're starting to see some faces showing up.
yes. Well, since you broached the subject, as you can see here, uh, you have a lineup much like Mount Rushmore on steroids of all different kinds of characters in the background, seemingly like spectators in the grandstands watching this thing. And we see them all the time in this. Every single UFO we do, they're there, like watchers, watching the show. They seem to be the masters of it. We've actually seen them take part in it. Flows going out to the UFO from them. You'll see a predominant being entity next to subordinate. Sometimes you'll see these in their own toroidal fields within a giant toroidal field. We call them toroidal beings. The poloidal axes will be anchored by a large face, as it were, maxillofacial projection. Uh, if you would take your cursor over here to this main dude on the right hand side at the edge of yeah, that guy right there. A lot of times you'll see someone like that in the middle, kind of squished into an apple core, surrounded by planetary orbiting lesser heads. I don't understand it, but it's what the data speaks, what's out there. They're in some kind of superposition where they're smeared into an almost a wave of what's called a wave of probability, the wave function. And it seems like the active observation, the recording of the camera, is forcing them to collapse their wave function and settle on an identity. It reminds me of the Bose-Einstein condensate. That's a special, strange substance that is done in the lab where molecules under certain conditions, atoms taken down to very cold temperatures, they start acting very strangely and they lose their identity. They no longer know who they are, what they are, where they belong. They start showing up all over the place. They're smeared out into this strange amalgam of gas, and it's was postulated back in the 30s, I believe, or the 20s by a scientist named Bose and, of course, Albert Einstein. And so this reminds me of that on a massive mega scale where you may have 5 or 10 of these things, but they're smeared out into 1,000 probabilities. Shape shifting. You sometimes we'll see an evil looking guy next to a monkey, next to a woman, next to a cartoon character. It's just very bizarre. they know our culture. They know our icons. We've seen spitting images of things you wouldn't believe, comic book characters, movie stars, uh, all around these UFOs and other areas of high strangeness. So this is the part of this subject that gets very bizarre and hard to believe. But it's in the data. It's hard coded data that's there. And a lot of times you don't even need to do a quantum run. If anybody would just download a video and extract the frames and put them full resolution on their computer screens and zoom in, you can start seeing these things in the raw imagery. All we do is liberate it and make it come to the forefront. So yeah, that's what's going on here, Ms. Val.
Right. I also see that, some of them do look like spectators and some of them are participating. They're
Yes, some of
participants.
them are participating.
Right.
Yes,
And so like their world is not like our world. Stephen and I can only understand by observing what their behavior is in these quantum images. And it is very bizarre because we expect as humans to see human behavior. We don't like we're not used to just seeing heads, for example.
right.
But in their realm, they don't need bodies. So
Exactly.
what we're seeing is an operation. They're
Exactly.
creating this UAP. It's a collective operation where probably some upper hierarchical being or beings are deciding what the mission is. And then
Right.
the whole collective operation is kind of like a factory operation where we would see that the manufacturing of a car, where they're manufacturing this UAP, they don't have to go through and create robots or machines or go and gather, metal, have a mined metal made into flat pieces that they stick on, drill holes into to get
Right.
that to stick
Right.
together. They can create this in a
Yes,
collective
Matt.
way,
Matter
right?
of fact, Val, you're on to something. I don't know if I've discussed this with you, but our good friend, a friend of Hidden World, Barbara Joe, uh, she takes amazing footage. She's a lot like you. She gets a knowing, gets her camera, and boom, they're there in Utah. She's right there near the Skinwalker Ranch area, Blind Fog Ranch. One of the photos she sent me, uh, I didn't even do a quantum run. I just did a data reduction, just basic data reduction. And in the cloud with these things, there was a very clear indication. And when I saw it, I was just taken aback of a UFO that looked to be in the process of being manufactured. I know it sounds crazy, but it reminded me of a giant potter's wheel in the sky, where the reason it's round is they're able to spin these things up. They seem to like the toroidal fields, and they're able to grab these strange things from their dimension, hybridize it into our stuff, and form these disks in a nebulous nursery in the sky, and then staff them with these little green men and have them go flying around, and some of them crash. I believe there's really these things in them that they find bodies in. It's all part, in my opinion. I can't mention the people that were in it, but it was a multiple three-letter agencies involved. Venom was in, and they asked me, "What do I think's going on?" And I said, "Well, fellas, I'm a very flawed Christian. I'm not perfect, but I'm still a born again, saved by the blood of Jesus Christian, and my Bible tells me that in the end times that God will send such a strong delusion that they that rejected the truth would believe a lie." And I said, "Fellas, I think you're actually overall in the background dealing with God Almighty, the great delusion. Look it up. God shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that believed not in the truth, rejected Jesus and everything, and chose to believe that the aliens are coming to save us and all this, that, and the other." And let's face it, someone had to design this thing to function to where they're only allowed certain powers. we've seen some of them held down by what looks like glass guitar strings, electromagnetic fields just held down, spectators, and they're not moving. They're in the dust or in the clouds. They just, like, they're held down in a lattice. We've seen a lattice around the earth, some kind of structure, a grid that they have to navigate. Gosh, who was it now? I just did a job. I can't mention his name, but if he watches me, he'll know. I'm working on something for him, and it was in Utah. This thing was like it was going down steps, and
Going down what? Going down
steps,
what?
like stair steps.
Oh, okay.
You know, like a slinky. Remember that? A slinky, what? Going down the stairs.
Uh-huh.
And he said, wow, it's taking abrupt maneuvers and 90-degree angles. And I said, as soon as I saw it, I knew what was happening. I said, no, it's navigating the lattice. That structure that we have seen around the earth, and it's held to it. And from our viewpoint, it looks like it's going down stairs, taking these abrupt 90-degree angles. But in reality, what it's doing is it's having to navigate its highway, its network, the lattice, and then you see it disappear into a mesa over there. It's not Skinwalker Ranch. So so that's what we're seeing. So anyway, I didn't know I was going to get off on all that, but that's what I think is going on, and we see the same syndrome over and over, the same repetitive thing, different flavors, different things, but it's all seemingly from the same source.
Right.
And
that's the
you can
thing, is
almost
that we
start
see
to
patterns. We're seeing
yeah,
patterns.
patterns. You start to build a library. You start seeing the same thing over and over and over.
Right. That's how we know that when we are looking at these faces, and we're going to show other just images where Stephen has
Oh
done
yeah, do the deep dive.
done
The
deep
one.
dives
Yeah, I
into
did a deep dive.
showing these faces in detail, that we understand they're part of an operation. And there's nothing for us to be afraid of. I'm not afraid of them. I'm thinking of them as, something that has always been there. We just couldn't see it. Just like, before there was penicillin, and there was understanding of it, what an infection was. There was this bacteria that was attacking bodies, but you couldn't see it, right? So they're
Right,
there.
right.
We didn't see it before, but now we have modern tools that are allowing us to see, not only see them, but see what they're doing.
Yes,
I'm going
exactly.
to, we're going to start going into a deep dive next of several images, and I'm going to let Stephen do most of the explanations of those images. And that's what we're doing next. Stephen, I'm going to show your deep dive quantum images. And if you can just like walk us through some of the features that you see in those.
Sure.
There's like a string of 5 images. So I'm going to share them right now. Here's the first one. And I'll go through all 5 images so that you have an idea.
Go ahead and toggle through
them. I'm going to go through them really quick first through one time, and then we'll go back to the first one, because I just want to show you ahead of time, Stephen, what's in this line. Okay, so it's that. These are 5 images you sent to me a few days ago, and so that's the first one. So what comes to mind?
Okay. There's so much going on in the entire frame, but let's just stick with the blue guys, the obvious blue guys on the right-hand side. Yeah. If you would zoom out, sometimes in quantum imaging, it's best to view it from afar.
Okay.
Due to the level of cleanup work that's done. If it's enhanced and cleaned up in great detail, if we spend a ton of hours on it, then you can zoom in. But on this particular one, just look at that. Can you zoom out a little bit more? Is it possible? Or is that the max zoom out?
That's the max.
Okay. if you look at that, it's an amalgam of projections, in my opinion, or representations in a maxillofacial construct of a human skull. Uh, a lot of times they'll look insectoid also and animalistic, anthropomorphic, human animal hybrids, cartoon characters, doll heads. We've even seen them with googly eyes, but they're usually the basic two eyes, a mouth, and a nose, um, all with a basic humanoid baseline construct. And some of them will be awake, some look asleep, some look angry, mad, evil, sad, goofy. And that's what you're seeing in this. And there's some type of structure underneath them.
Right.
If you'll point to that, you can see it. Yeah.
It used to go in between too. See how this kind of looks like something, and maybe that's this part of something else. To me, it looks like they're inside. Looks like there's part of a frame back here too.
Yeah.
Maybe
yes,
the outer area. It looks like they're, to me, like they're sticking their head through some kind of frame.
Yes. It has to do with that lattice I mentioned, the network. Picture the earth entombed in a giant Nerf foam ball. When you cut open foam, you see all these networks, these spider web things. That's how I feel these things are able to take right-hand turns, appear over here, appear over there. They're just simply like electrons on a motherboard in a computer. If you could see inside a motherboard, like Tron, the movie, you wouldn't freak out because you saw an electron take a right 90-degree angle. It's just going over here to the hard drive or whatever the case may be. These things are navigating a predetermined network. And I think that structure you're seeing is part of that, part of this toroidal overall feature, a grid within a grid within a grid. It's endless. It's like the Mandelbrot set, fractals. It's just, there's no end to it. Toroidal field inside of a miniature toroidal field, inside a nested gigantic toroidal field. We see this all the time, and these things look like an amalgam spitball, a loosely cobbled together structure of beings that are in the poloidal axes of this overall toroidal field structure. And then your UFO, I think, is somewhere down.
It's probably somewhere in here.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
It moved in that. Is this the toroid up here? Is this part of the toroid, or is it over there?
Right. The green is the toroidal field, and the blue guys are in the poloidal axes of it. I think this is where the because I didn't do the overlay on this to show us where the UFO is at, but it's all part of this process. Now go to the next frame. Now, can you toggle back? You can see the movement of them. Now,
is these consecutive frames? Is this, did you take like?
Yes, it's sequential. Now, take your cursor, hold on. Go up. No, go back to the blue guy. Stop. If you look at that one right there, you'll see a head and a head and a head and an overall stratified or stretched head that's in sort of like a refracted Fresnel lens, almost like you're looking at a lighthouse lens. You know how a lighthouse lens has all those facets of glass, like a chandelier? You see the whole overall structure just in that is repeating in some kind of diffraction, refraction gradient. It's just bizarre. There's some kind of space-time metric going on right there in that vicinity. You can kind of see a flow going through there. So it's an endless world. It's fascinating.
So we see the change from this one to the next one?
Yes. And you'll see some of them hold on to identities. Some of them are changing. You saw this guy that got blurry. You'll see it come in and to sharpness, and then it'll get diffuse. It'll come back into sharpness.
Did that one shift, or did this guy shift?
Yeah, you'll see them pop into position. Look up there in the green. You see that guy in the green? Yeah.
Mhm.
Now toggle back to the other one. He's down
Yeah,
there
I
in the
don't see
blue.
him there. Did he?
Yeah,
But these
right.
things seem to be moving up, like they seem to be
Yeah.
moving out of this and into a circulation.
Yes. I think that guy in the middle is getting shoved up
Oh,
into the
this
green.
guy here is going up.
Yes. Try it again.
Yeah,
Boom.
that
You see
could be
that?
him. It could be.
And they'll change shapes. That's why we need high speed film, because we would be able, if your camera was at 30 frames per second, then these things sometimes move so fast. We need 100, even 1,000 frames per second. We would be able to watch him slowly move up and morph as he's moving. As it is, all we can do is just see a time jump and estimate forensically where was he in the past and where is he now. But I'm pretty sure that's him because it's overall the same structure. And go to the next one. And then he's gone. He's
Did he
way
go
up
over
there, I
here?
think.
Is he up
Yeah,
here?
yeah. So again, whatever the design criteria is, it seems like they congregate in the middle of the donut, and the UFO is able to transit and have freedom around the
Right.
carousel, so to speak. I would have to do a deep dive on a far field view and watch the whole thing from beginning to end, but your trees got in the way, and as you know, you were battling the lawn sprinkler, and my hat's off to you for getting as good a capture as you did when you weren't ready for this, because the data is incredible. Uh, we could work on that one video for the whole year and just uncover amazing things. So
The July 5th video?
yeah, this one that you just
Mhm.
took, yeah, while you're battling the lawn sprinkler.
Right. It's, I mean, it goes to show that, the data is there. It's there. It's best if you can keep it stable, the camera stable, and if you have a good quality video or image. Also, if you got higher frame rate, and you said my cell phone only had like 30 frames per second.
Right,
My Nikon has 60, my Canon has 60.
60, yeah,
But there was no time to go and retrieve those cameras and get them started and
right,
focus them
right.
or anything. But still, we're still getting some incredible information from this.
Wonderful data. Yeah, like your Nikon, we could have watched that center blue guy slowly migrate up to the green. Whereas your cell phone, we see him there and then poof, the next frame, he's way up high. We can pretty much estimate for sure that that's him. Uh, but higher frame rates would be great. Hey, while you're out here, look at this guy. I've never really noticed him before. Far right-hand side, the blue guy.
Him?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is so obvious. It's just crazy. Zoom back out. You can see it's just the details. I mean, you just look at him.
Let's see if he's in the previous one. I don't know if he's starting to
He
form.
kind of holds his own for there for a while, doesn't he? And again, deeper dives, we produce much more precise and pristine data. It's just all about time and, of course, funding and all of that. But
Right. But they're
what
all
we've done so
participating.
far is incredible.
Right. So basically, and I just want to disarm this whole notion of the heads, these entities. This is a fact of life that they exist, and they are part of that realm. And whether we can see them or not, they're there and they're operating. So I want to just kind of dispel with that fear factor of that we have entities around us. Well, we have spirits inside of us, so we just happen to have bodies over our spirits. These
We
are
were
bodiless
meant to,
spirits, but they are
yeah,
powerful, and they can they can create things. They can create things with their will. And so that's what's happening.
right.
All in unison, they're creating something with their will. They're spinning up the energy, extracting something, meta materials from their dimension, combining it with ours in some kind of a formulated fashion to create this UAP,
Yes,
to carry out a mission. And that UAP actually is doing something.
right.
It's
It's
causing
for a
something
reason.
to happen in our world. They're interested
Right.
in us. They're interested in something from our world for their own operations. We're not going to delve into that. We can't even begin to guess. I mean,
No, as far as coming from other galaxies and other star systems, there's millions of reports of these per day. It doesn't make sense that a scouting mission would need to come for hundreds of years and millions of, some are from Zeta Reticuli, some are from this galaxy, some from here. It's just all over the place. Uh, what makes sense is that they've been here. They were here before us, and they have the mastery over us as far as us challenging them on the level that they are at.
exactly.
But we
Right.
know greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. But as far as on a physical level against these things, they have the mastery over us.
Oh, they certainly do. Yes. That's why I said earlier that there's no way that I would challenge them, and I don't think anybody can challenge them.
Right.
This is just something to accept as humans, that we can have all of our warfare, we can have our armies, our militaries, our naval fleet. But when it comes to an interdimensional world, we can't compete. And it's already known.
No.
It's already known that that's not possible. So it's just an acceptance. And we just hope and pray that they will not escalate their activities and try to dominate our world in some way. I'm going to lastly share some enhancements of my video,
Okay.
just through imagery, and that's only going to take a few more minutes. And I'm going to explain a few things in there um, about how, when you're taking an image or a video of that shows clouds in them, how the clouds kind of are a backdrop for another dimension, interdimensional activities. This is the very last thing we're going to show, and then we're going to make our conclusion to this video. So I'm going to share my enhancements, my enhanced images. So this is just, I took some images, I think 4 or 5 images from the video. And in there, I am going through and filtering each of those images to kind of show more of what's happening in that cloud, because the cloud seems to bring out more of interdimensional activities. So I'm just put a circle around where the UAP is in this image, and I'm just going to go through, and each one that I go through, I'm just enhancing it a little bit more, filtering a little bit more. And the thing that I see here is that there's a lot of kind of a beehive types of features in here, and I've seen them in other videos before, and I've seen objects flying through them and disappearing. So I'm thinking maybe this is some kind of interdimensional structure of some kind. And it is in that other dimension. It's not in ours, but it's just somehow the clouds are bringing that out. Did you want to expound on that?
Yeah. Val, again, in our cosmology work, we know that the dust lanes in galaxies in interstellar space and all, they're a wispy way of revealing actual structures. It's kind of like spreading filings on a magnetic field. All of a sudden, you can see that magnetic field because of the filings. Well, clouds mystify scientists to this day. There are mysteries in clouds they don't understand. And when we see these clouds doing these strange, unexplained shapes, it could very well be part of this other world. The quantum world does move the classical world. That's a known fact. They have watched quantum mechanics kick an 80-pound mirror at the LIGO experiment. If you remember the movie Ghost, where it's teaching him how to move a can or how a ghost can move a cup or something, they actually see that in science experiments. So you're onto something. Could be part of the lattice,
Some of the
the
features that I've
honeycomb.
seen, right? And so here's another one where there's the UAP I've circled, and then I'm going through some process of kind of bringing that world forward.
Wow, look at that.
And what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing there's that beehive sort of thing going on. I've seen this before, and I've clearly seen things either hiding in them, objects
And
hiding in them, flying
let's
through.
be honest, I see the same setup of faces stacked up in like sardines in a can. Uh,
Yeah, I see some right up here. There's a
yeah,
face,
and
there's a
right there by
face.
the UFO. This is your work. I haven't done anything on it, but and we watch for pareidolia. We're not looking for poodles and dolphins in the sky. We're not trying to. We realize there are patterns that are natural in meteorology, but there are times when a cloud just does not look right. There's
Right,
something off about it.
right. But I see here, I see like this looks like it could be a reflection of some kind of metallic object, and then these look
Yes,
like they may be some inner part to some other place. Like
yes,
I'm
yes.
seeing these holes here. And so I cannot really say exactly
Uh-huh.
what's happening here, but I can just say that there's a lot of anomalies. I see when you see consistent type of features, it makes you question. Like I'm seeing openings here. I guess that's what I was seeing here,
Right.
openings. These are also openings. So when I go forward, here's another one. So in this one here, I'm seeing possibly a craft sitting here. This looks like it could be a window,
Yes,
maybe two windows on the side. And I see these things hiding in plain sight all the time. When
yes,
in an
yes.
image, they can be upside down, they can be sideways, they blend in. And so is it in our dimension? Probably not. But it could be kind of in between. I'm not sure, but and there looks like there's some
If you
others
saw the
possible thing here.
if, yes, if you saw the news lately, it was a major university here in America that brought out a study that something to the effect that they know that there is something else that's right here with us. Uh, I think it was Harvard or something, and I
Yeah, it was
think they
Harvard.
mentioned aliens. I think
Right,
they actually mentioned some kind of being. They know that it's very possible that there is something right under our noses. And what better place than the sky?
right. Well, they are. I do refer to them often as alien because they're non-human.
Right,
But I don't necessarily think they're from outer space, or but not saying they couldn't go to Mars or go to the moon
right.
or go somewhere else because they could probably go anywhere they wanted to. I think
They
they're more interested
probably
in
can
us.
act on the speed of thought. They may not be limited to speed of light. They may can just think it and they're there, all the way
Right,
across the universe. I don't know.
right. This looks like an object here. I'm seeing like looks like little windows in it. Looks like a little reflection on top, maybe right in here. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just interesting. It's interesting. This looks like it could be a large ship, maybe some windows in it.
yes.
These are just speculations. And here's the last one. there's the UAP right here. And then kind of going in a little further to see what might be there. Seeing a lot of that, the same types of patterns. Looks like
Yes,
do you see this like kind of a hive, like a 3-story hive here?
yes, I see concentric banding. I sure do. It's circular, like a beehive, and we want the audience to know that we look for natural things first. We don't jump to supernatural. We look for natural things first. But skeptics and debunkers can be so ingrained in proving stuff wrong that they become their own bias, where everything's debunked. Any kind of independent thought or exploration, it's debunked, it's debunked, it's debunked. We don't want to fall into that. So
Right.
what we do is we balance it out. We look for any and all natural reasons for things. And as you begin to cross things out and you do deep dives, especially quantum imaging, has no errors in it. It doesn't care what you think or what I think. If you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, Satanist, it doesn't care. It's going to show you what is in that imagery. It's the interpretation of the data where the errors can come in because a human mind is trying to make sense of what it's seeing. So, but yes, I do see that, Val. It's a concentric nested circular banding, and that could actually be a sphere, and we're seeing a cross section in the middle. So, and that could be a meteorological process. What I would do is pull the satellite imagery from that day and look at it over time and blah blah blah. But right off the bat, that looks very compelling. That could be something beyond natural.
Something's hiding in here. Something is inside of here. If I had spent more time on this and worked with Stephen on these images, then we would have been able to decipher more. But what Stephen mentioned in the earlier video on a 1938 image of Hitler, if you haven't seen that one, you can go back and watch that. That this takes a lot of time. When you're doing a deep dive into doing a data reduction, or like what Stephen did with the quantum imaging, it takes a great deal of time. And so sometimes we gloss over some of this. I did a little bit of data reduction here, but didn't go too far.
You can only do what you can. But Val, you did a great job. Matter of fact, send me this, the original, if you got it, just the raw original file, and
that's an original right there.
Yeah, send me that.
Stephen and I we share a lot of these of our images, and this is just one of the ones one of the UAPs that Stephen has analyzed of mine, and we analyze a lot of things. So in conclusion, what would you like to say, Stephen, to wrap this up?
To wrap this up, like Val said, doing data reduction, even without quantum imaging, it's all time consuming. It's a lot of our work is like art conservation work. We extract the hard-coded data. Sometimes it's quite harsh, and cleaning it up and detailing it, we always make sure that we're not injecting anything synthetic. And so what you guys have seen in this whole thing is real. It's not doctored. It's not tweaked. We don't get into data mining or trying to get things to fit. It is what it is. I always say we're cursed to tell the absolute truth. So thank you very much, Miss Val. This has been another incredible episode.
Yes, thank you so much, Stephen. I enjoyed every minute of it.